Talking about IoT also, we'll also talk about IoT. Is it like that?
To make the world smart.
To make the world smart. Yeah, that is one answer. So, what do we mean by smart?
Less manpower.
Less manpower.
Simplifying things.
Simplifying things. The IoT is going to, okay, promise us simplifying things. Then
More efficiency.
time. Means
More efficiency. Less time.
time management. Okay. Minimize human intervention. Increase efficiency. Yeah, these are some of the things now we are able to perceive for the IoT. Can you see some example where how these things can be realized?
Increase unemployment.
Increase of unemployment. That's one of the negative impact of all smartness. Okay. In a typical application, can you think how all these 5 or 6 things which you are told, how it is going to, can you think some application?
Smart homes.
Smart homes.
Smart kitchen.
Okay. So he's worried about kitchen actually. That's right away. So smart kitchen, yeah, that is one of the very in the IoT, one of the paper we see. As soon as you start from your home, start from the office, you start your microwave oven from office itself, so that by the time you reach home, it will be in the state we want. Okay, smart. Okay, these are some of the things which we are able to think about IoT. So, this is some slide some time ago. You can see the total number of internet active users is a 2015 slide. This is my chance. Now, as you see the evolution of things, the mobile internet users have become 16% of the overall total population. Overall population it has become 16%. That is a very, very high percentage. And see, earlier internet means it used to be PCs which are connected through net. That's what we used to think. We used to have a PC, the Apache server, the old Apache server used to be there, which used to occupy very, very huge space, and there will be a web server which used to serve all the clients. So that is used to be our concept about internet earlier. But subsequently what has happened, internet has moved to the mobile, your mobiles used to have internet. When 1992, when the 2G, I think the 1G technologies came, and subsequently when the 2G technologies came, that is one of the first thing, GPRS. GPRS is one of the first technology which enabled mobile communication also with the internet facility. And now we are moving from that area. We are going to have objects, connected objects, not just connected PCs or connected mobiles. We are going to have connected objects. So that's one of the important feature of IoT. So what do you need if you have a device with you, one sensor with you? If you have to get it connected to internet, what are things you need? A temperature sensor. You have got the AC there. You want to measure the temperature of this room. There is a temperature sensor you are having. What do you need? Sensor you have got. Power to the sensor.
Data, software, analyzing,
Okay, the data acquisition software. Okay, data acquisition software.
Smart.
But when you have got only a sensor, you don't have anything else. So,
Smartphones.
smartphones. I'm telling about the sensor. First about the sensor. You have got a simple thermocouple you are having to measure the temperature. What else you need? How do you make it connect to the internet or it connect to the network?
Internet shield.
Hmm?
We use Internet shield to connect to the network.
Internet?
Internet shield.
Ethernet connectivity. Ethernet connectivity unit. Okay.
Local network, and you will host it in the.
Yeah. So before that, the sensor is not just a sensing element. So you have to have some smartness associated with that. You should have some computer systems or some microcontroller, that's the first thing which you should have with the sensor. Then you need to have a A to D converter which converts it to the digital domain. And the microprocessor or microcontroller which is there, it cannot just like connect to the internet. You have to have the internet is one of the data link possibility where we can connect. Then what is the software which has to sit inside the computer to connect to the internet? If you talk to internet, you need some software. What is that called? TCP/IP stack. That is the fundamental thing which has to sit inside any embedded system to make it connect to a internet or any network. Your TCP/IP stack. Initially, when the TCP/IP stack used to be very huge, the concept of Apache server when it came, the connectivity was not of low footprint. It used to occupy so much megabytes of space. So you should have a very lean TCP/IP stack to sit inside your sensor to make it or get it connected to the internet. So that's what primarily any of your sensor, any of your devices should have an internet connectivity means you should have a TCP/IP stack to get it connected to internet. You can have another type of connectivity, but what I'm telling is that so there's a software element is there which is involved, and you told there is a power supply is required. Just a power supply, you cannot have a battery connected to that one alone is not sufficient. You should have a very low power solution. The battery cannot get your mobile phone, whatever you are using. If the battery lasts only for 4 or 5 hours, you are not bothered about that. I mean, you are pretty much bothered about that. So you have to have a very low power solution. So the power supply or the software or the hardware, all these things are involved. All these domain knowledges are required to make a IoT device. Correct? So these are the technologies which is driving that area. Okay, what I was telling was the number of connected objects expected to reach 50 billion by 2020. And the penetration of connected objects in total things expected to reach 2.7% in 2020 from 0.6% in 2020. So primarily the connectivity is moving from the computers and PCs to the objects and sensors. This is what is one of the motivating factor in the IoT technologies. Correct? Okay, here the connected objects and connected people are shown. The people is shown in the brown color and the other is shown in the blue color. As you can see, the connected things is going to expand, so that it is going to somewhere the status is given. By 2020 there will be 50 million. The number of things connected to the internet exceeded the number of people on the earth. By 2008 already it has exceeded. The number of devices which are already connected have exceeded the number of people on earth. So that is how the studies goes. These things are already covered by somebody or no? No. It's okay. So I was telling about the Internet of Everything. Internet of Everything. What are the other constituents of Internet of Everything, IoE? You told Internet of IoT, you told. So the superset is IoE. So that means some other constituents are also there in IoE. What are the other constituents?
IoT, sir.
IoT means?
Internet of aerospace things.
Aerospace things, okay. What I meant is, okay. IoT means basically the things are connected, sensors are connected. That is the machine to machine connections. Then people to machine connections and machine to people connections are also involved in the IoE. That is the superset actually. When you tell about IoE, those are the other constituents which are connected. So as you can see, the connected objects are going to increase day by day. This figure, this download from internet, you might have seen this figure many times, the IoT figure. So called the internet was earlier the internet of the people, and IoT connects all things, so it is called the internet of things. So all the devices are getting connected to the internet connectivity, where the TCP/IP stack is going to sit in each of the devices. If you see the Wikipedia definition of IoT, the Internet of Things, also called the Internet of Objects, refers to a wireless network between objects. Usually the network will be wireless and self-configuring. What do you mean by self-configuring? What do you mean by self-configuring network? You don't need a sender, somebody to control all the things. So each of the device itself can be a part of that, and it can become a node in that system. So that it will be able to participate in the communication and participate in the data transfer. So that's the self-configuring. And not only the self-configuring, it can be self-healing also. If one of the node breaks down, the connectivity can be through another channel. So it can be a self-healing also. So another definition, by embedding short-range mobile receivers into transceivers into wide array of additional gadgets and everyday items, enabling new forms of communication between people of things and between things themselves. That means between the people and the sensors, and including between the sensors themselves. So microcontrollers embedded in electrical and electronic devices outnumber PC. That is the PC computers by a factor of bigger than 100. And most of these nodes are already enabled. Internet, the TCP/IP stack is already enabled. And once you have an embedded device connected to the internet, adding even one more is similar, as they can share the resources. See, the cloud computing, all those things are coming to the embedded systems also. See, when you connect an embedded device, it is not similar to connecting a PC. So you have got a very low footprint of memory, low footprint of resources, all those things are involved. So these resources you have to allocate properly to have the connectivity as well as to the computation, as well as to the interaction with the sensors and this one. So with a low resources, you have to manage the connectivity. So that is the one critical factor in the embedded devices. So anytime, anywhere, control of your electronic devices at home or wherever. So we were telling you, you control the device from anywhere else, from a remote controlling of the devices. And remote measurement of data. If you want to measure a data at a distant place without any human intervention. So that also you can use the Internet of Things concept, where you will be able to have a connectivity so that the data can be obtained at different places. You can see the internet server in 1974. It used to consist of so many multiple racks where the circuits are there and all the devices are there, and all the hard disks, all those things are there. You see the server has come to very, very tiny. Now there are companies which, Rabbit Semiconductors, there are a company which is a internet server, very low footprint. So the internet, the hardware resource, the hardware complexity required for an internet server has come down tremendously. So this is helping in your creation of Internet of Things. I was just browsing the net. I could see somebody has done a project. The internet, it is a small web server. You can see how small it is. The entire stack is able to put into that tiny chip, so that chip can be accessed via IP address from a normal computer. So your footprints have come such a stage where you are able to create the web servers in a very small footprint. Okay, so how do you see all these things? Evolution came from the embedded systems. If you see the history of embedded system, you recognize this one, that picture? That picture which I have shown, do you know what is the context of that picture? Anybody? This is the first embedded system which has been documented. You know what is that? Huh? Not Sputnik, it is an American mission only, not a Russian mission. It is Apollo. It's not Apollo 13, it's the Apollo mission, okay? So Apollo is the first system where a documented embedded system was used. That is this one is the Apollo guidance computer. Apollo guidance computer. So, as you know, the vehicle has to be guided. So it needs a guidance computer where it will interact with the gyro and it will have how the path should be there, terminal guidance. So this is the first embedded system which has been documented. It used to have only I think 48 bytes of memory. That was the memory it used to have. So the evolution of embedded system has led basically has led the IoT. So if any sensor, to make it smart or make it connected to the internet, we need an embedded system. So that's how the evolution of these things has happened. So the people connecting to things, the concept of people getting connected to things, you can see the internet cloud is there, where you have the devices connected, and a person, if you see, he can have so many sensors incorporated to him. And an ECG sensor or a motion sensor. So all these things if you incorporate and if they have a connectivity, so the people are getting connected to the devices, as well as the devices is getting connected to the internet. So things connecting to things. In a typical vehicle control system, you have got when the fuel injection has to happen, when the fuel ignition has to happen, what is the temperature. So all these parameters, if it is through a network, if you put it to the onboard computer or the central computer, the controlling the things will be very, very easy. So even some of the devices can report if there is a maintenance requirement is there. So it itself can report to the internet server. That's one of the advantages of the Internet of Things. Okay, one particular maintenance has to be done. So we know the human intervention is not required. The device itself can report to the particular onboard computer, say, okay, I'm due for the so and so maintenance. So it can be conveyed to a central server where the appropriate action can be taken. So that is one of the advantage of things connecting to things. If your washing machine has got a maintenance requirement or it needs an update of the software, maybe the software has to be changed to a fuzzy logic based system is coming, so that software can be controlled. So by connecting these things to the internet and the cloud, what we can do, these updates can happen without human intervention, or it can happen without any human intervention of the maintenance or such things can be done. So if you see the technology roadmap for the Internet of Things, so there are so many applications are there, like the supply chain, vehicle market application, vehicle positioning. So all these things, as time advances, has to improve the miniaturization of the devices. That's one of the very important. This one, as the VLSI technologies come, the devices become very, very compact, and you are able to pack the information in a very small device. That's one of the important things. And the technology, how the technology improves, accordingly we will be able to improve these technologies so that the Internet of Things can be realized. So by 2020, we are thinking that all these things will be coming to a better things. So the advanced sensors are required, and the better connectivity solution are required, and the embedded antennas are required which can communicate easily. So all those solutions, all those technology advancement is required. Okay, to see the Opel truck car was almost 40 sensors inside. So all these sensors, the connectivity of all these sensors is very, very easy using a internet stacks and internet connecting things are available. Connecting a sensor through a tube line to the computer is very difficult. See, if you see 40 sensors, if you want to connect it to all the central computer with each of the analog line, and this one, it becomes clumsy wiring inside this one. So in order to avoid that one, you can have a small connectivity of each of these sensors. It becomes, the overall wiring becomes very simple, and the maintenance becomes simple, and subsequently the updation, because modules can be updated very easily. When you have a connectivity, the interface becomes very simple. Only the web interface is there, and GUI also becomes very easy. You can see earlier devices used to have separate graphical user interfaces used to be there for debugging and everything. But once the web interface is there, it's a very uniform interface which can be used to have debugging or to update it. So it's a simple, very simple interface. Okay, speeds of data transmission also you can see that also has to be improved if you are to get the Internet of Things, because so many devices are trying to communicate between each other in various different. So your communication technologies have to be it has to be improved. So this is a study some time back. You can see now area 4G also has the percentage has increased now. Maybe the Geo has increasing that one. So earlier it was almost, I think this 2 years back, 88% and 12%. So these technologies, the 2G, 3G, 4G, these technologies also have to, the 4G technologies also have to come. Then only the connectivity becomes very easy. You have to have high speed transmission between the devices. Then only data can flow across the devices very easily. As the number of devices increases, the number of data, bytes which is flowing across the channel is also going to increase. And global data generation also you can see it is increasing as years pass by because of the various home gateways, machine to machine, and tablet PC. So all these things also, the data generation also is becoming quite high. So all this data have to flow across the connectivity. So that is where the your design of a very high-speed communication interfaces, and also very compact antennas. You should have chip antennas, everything you are having now in the sensors, and the system-on devices are coming where your sensor interface and your analog interface and your RF interface all are getting packed into a single devices where system-on chips are coming, where this thing can be used now for this type of IoT application, because the hardware interface has to support all these things. So what do we expect from the Internet of Things? The access to remote embedded devices using standard Internet software interfaces. So your normal web browser using itself, you will be able to access to a sensor sitting at somewhere else. Okay, the temperature in this room, you just type the IP address of the sensor in the particular room, and you get the data on your web browser. So this is one trivial application which you can think. Easy interaction with a product using a web browser. As I was mentioning earlier, it becomes a uniform interface. Otherwise what happens, each of the devices will have a separate graphical user interface to communicate with that one. Earlier, when you debug the embedded systems, you generally what do? You switch on and you have a monitor program to see the memory or to dump the code. See, all these things, you will have a separate graphical user interface, and each, when you make a new embedded system board, again we will design all those things. But using a web browser, all this can become very uniform interface it can become. So you don't have a separate graphical user interface for each of the devices which you are making. That is the concept of the uniform graphical user interface which can be used in any of these devices. Otherwise it becomes the particular make specific interfaces. So that can be avoided using the web browser interfaces. So monitoring, managing and updating can be done by a user from anywhere. Product manufacturer can monitor and support the product. If a particular, I was telling the washing machine example, if the connectivity when it is there, the product manufacturer himself can monitor the status of that particular device based on the security settings, so that if an update is required or it is a maintenance is required, that can be done. Elimination of costly user interface hardware by using only a simple connectivity, uniform connectivity, like a web browser. Either you plug to the computer to the screen, the web browser only you will see. So each of these our custom specific user interfaces can be avoided by using the standard interfaces. So there are various concerns. What are the technologies, which protocols are needed, so how it should be implemented. As I was mentioning, the standard interface is a TCP/IP interface. So it's a TCP/IP or FTP. So what are the interface required? This also has to be standardized now. And which resources are required for this? From the embedded application point of view, see what is the processing power, how much memory is available, or what will be the communication gateway, or what should be the controller, or all these things are we have to decide. And also the quantity of the data which is there, or quantity of the code which is there, the length of the software, all those things becomes a constraint, or it becomes a design parameter, so that this much memory can be decided, this much memory has to be there, all those things we have to decide. These are the first challenges of the embedded internet or the sensor internet. These are the first challenges. When you design a particular, this one is just a standard interface, the standard protocol has to be there, or standard not to be defined for IoT. So once, see, why we are able to now have the internet with a common interface, because there are some standards defined. So these standards are also to be defined from the case of IoT, whereby your interfaces also will be defined, the protocols will be defined. Then there are other challenges like security. The security issues, how do you manage the security? How do we make the unauthorized user can be prevented from the accessing, the standardization. These are the other security issues whereby you are to decide how do we define these things. Okay, this is a standard picture of how a web-based interface can be done. So your sensor will be connected with a small embedded web server, where you will be having the appropriate tag setting, which will be connected to the internet. A client will be able to monitor the sensor value using the what are the over the net. You will be able to by typing into the IP address of the sensor, you will be able to monitor the value at a different place, at a remote place. So that the remote data monitoring can be implemented using this type of web-based instrumentation. So you need not have a costly interface, costly lines running to a remote location for each of the sensors. So you use the standard internet line. It need not be a wired line, it can be the already available wireless internet interface also can be used. And also the high-speed things are coming up now, as we know. That's also one of the fiber interfaces. That's one of the technology which has been listed, which has to be watched in the next 4 or 5 years. Fiber everywhere technology is coming. That means the high-speed sensor interface and the interface will be coming through the fiber technology. The fiber everywhere will be coming. So growth of the sensor internet networking. The microcontroller is included in electrical and electronic devices. So we already discussed actually. So these devices are coming that outnumbering the other devices. So if you see the construction of a simple sensor node, you will have a sensing module. You can see a sensing module, which can be any type of sensor, a temperature sensor or a pressure sensor or or whatever type of sensor. Then you will have a compact processor or a microcontroller interface to that one. Then you will have a small data storage. Of course, you should have a battery power to power the processor. Then a radio transceiver, so that the data exchange can be done. So this is the basic construction of a sensor node, or the sensor. What has to come to a sensor in order to make it compatible to the net. So, but all these devices are to be low-cost devices. So you cannot have a very costly hardware for this one. So it should be very low-cost devices, and the footprint also has to be very low. Then only you will be able to accommodate it in a particular space. So the data processing and data communication has to be done by this particular device. So this device should have a very small footprint, as I was mentioning earlier. So you should have a very big antenna or something. You have a chip antenna which has to be inserted in this. Similarly, a low cost battery. So once you have a very low battery, then what you should have is a very low power consuming this one. Then data storage, then sensing module. So this becomes effectively this becomes a sensor node or a node in a Internet of Things. So these sensor nodes, each of these sensor nodes which constitute the IoTs can monitor a variety of ambient conditions, temperature, humidity, vehicular movement, lighting condition. So whatever the applications which we can think of, each of these sensor nodes can measure any of these levels, any of these data levels, so that they will be able to useful in a particular commercial environment. And they should be used for the continuous sensing, any event detection, maybe a threshold. You are thinking that okay, temperature in a particular furnace, when it exceeds so and so degrees, it has to give an alarm to the monitoring station. So that can be done using a connectivity. So once it crosses the temperature, it will be sending it to the onboard computer and to the central station. See, mobile networks, as you know, that's an earlier existing concept. So these things can work in that configuration also. And if you see the Government of India's now policy, there is some digital library mission is there. So all these things can be done using the Internet of Things. The pages can be accessed across the globe in a very easy way. Okay. Now another thing what you have to see is, in order to support these things, you should have as I have mentioned earlier, very compact devices have to be there. Very compact sensors, compact devices, then only. So if you want to do these things, it has to be, when you see in a country wise, these things have to be supported by appropriate electronic manufacturing, which can be. So these are some of the items now which have been listed by Government of India to support these things. Basically, when you think about the Digital India concept, everything, these are the technologies which will be made to support this type of connectivity. So I was just showing, how many of you know that there is a processor which is made in India? This is one of the a processor which has been made by one of the TRD and TAP. So to see this, the obsolescence of components and trusted computing issues are coming. So such type of devices have to be made to support these missions. This is a 32-bit processor. It has come some 4 or 5 years back. It has come. So peripherals are built in the system, and it has been designed and fabricated in India. This is a processor which has been named as Anubama. Anubama is the name of that processor. So such type of infrastructure backup is required. So sensor manufacturing, the circuits manufacturing, such type of things are required. Then only you will be able to construct such a thing. You will be able to evolve into such a very effective networks. See, as you know, to make such a Internet of Things, digital infrastructure also is required. As I have mentioned earlier, high-speed internet is required. Then these have a long life digital identity. So these are other things which will help in this, and this will be a push which will give to these areas. So these are some of the other technologies. Digital empowerment also is required when you have these devices connected across. The universal digital literacy, people have to understand that how it can be, these devices can be used. So, and to make it the web interface, you should have the local language hospital. All these things are the administrative issues which are going to come in the digital empowerment also. So, another some of the things which are coming in this, in these things are the, as I have already mentioned, the evolution of new chips, the new connectivity solution, low-cost solutions. So you cannot afford to have a sensor node which is very, very costly. So it has to be a low cost solution and a low power solution also. So these technologies are to improve, then only we will be able to reach the goal of the Internet of Things. So when a small node it consumes so much of power, so it doesn't make any sense. So you have to have new power solutions for that one. How do we make the device very, very less power hungry? So you have to see that one. And the battery source, whether it can be a small nickel cadmium cell, or it can be a lithium cell, or it can be the solar power. So these are the other backup things which are to improve. Then only we will be able to make such so many devices which will be self-sustaining, as well as it will have power on its own in a very, very low usage. If your sensor, the standalone sensor node is consuming power in a very short time, it is not of any help. So it has to have a very, very low power hungry, and the power source also has to be, the energy density has to be very high. The charge density, so much charge is to be back to that device. Then only you will be able to use that such a device for a longer duration. So this is also one of the important criteria when you think of a compact sensor node with a very, very less power. Okay. I was just reading recently the fiber optic network. This is one of the very important network things which is being now established by the country. That means the digital backbone has to be very, very strong. See, when you have the connectivity between two places, very, very high volume of data is flowing. So you have to have a very, very large chunks of data. So the national fiber optical network is being installed now to see that the data which is flowing across the major systems are on a very, very high chunks of data can flow. Otherwise, what will happen, the digital bottlenecks is going to happen, and when such a thing, such a high volume of data will not be able to flow across the different places. This is one of the very important parameters. Okay, the other concepts are coming like the wave division multiplexing, which you already might have heard. So, which is going to enhance the digital connectivity, which is going to enhance the backbone of this sensor connectivity can happen with such a higher end of technology. Because when you want to have data going in a very, very high way, you should have higher technologies for that one. So the wavelength division multiplexing, these are some of the technologies which are being evolved for the IoT. Okay, this I was telling the national fiber optic network. See, if you see now overall world, the optical fiber systems, if you see, so many optical fiber lines are running. Why? Because to have more digital data to flow across the different standards. Not only wireless communication, the data which is flowing in the submarine way also. So that's also a very large number of systems are flowing. So basically what we have seen is, see, commercially these systems to become viable, so it has to have a commercial push is to be there. So if you have a commercial push, these IoT things should have a commercial relevance should be there. So how do we have such a relevance? Okay, some examples we thought home networking, everything. But how much it is commercially viable, we have to think. Unless these things will have a better usage in an area, so like consider the transport network. So if the transport corporation has to decide how many vehicles has to ply in a day based on the traffic density for such things. So if you can plan a Internet of Things for such things, then it becomes commercially viable, and it is also, it becomes commercially useful. So the number of vehicles which should be plied over a particular route based on the traffic density. So that can be decided based on some sensor networking. Then such things becomes, you will be able to commercially push such systems to the existence. So these are some of the things which you can think of initially when this Internet of Things becomes useful with such commercial applications are there. Otherwise, it is going to be remaining books where some research area, whether you will be having some research papers only. When to coming to, when these things are to come to practical stage, so you have to have a commercial push for this. So another concept is the integrated services digital network. So as you know, when you draw the power now in your home, you put only to one socket. 230 power only is going to your fan or light and everything. But in the other case, it is not like that. When you have several devices, your TV is coming from one, connectivity is coming from one channel, your internet is coming from another channel, your landline is coming from another channel. So when you have different interfaces to different things, then this internet connectivity becomes difficult. That's what this integrated services digital network concept. That is all your digital interface with a uniform interface. It is a single pipe, digital pipe is coming to your home, whereby all your devices will connect to the such a like you are plugging your each of your device for the electrical 230 volts. Similarly, the digital interface has to be a unified interface. That is the concept of ISDN. This has been quite for some time. It is there. So all your any of your interface will be to the ISDN. It will not be with that way. So that's how the connectivity becomes unified. Then you can have a very easy connectivity. That is the concept. So this is one of the diagram. You can see the phone, your modem, your PC, everything will go to a connectivity in a similar way. So that the digital interface becomes unified interface. Or your packet switch networks, circuit switch networks, all such connections are becoming unified. Okay, as we were mentioning some of the applications which we are mentioning, the smart cities, smart energy and smart grid. The power grid, that is one of the very commercially viable application for Internet of Things. The smart grid. See, when you have got a power consumption in different places, in a different volume of power consumption. So, if a smart grid is operational, then you will be able to use it in a very effective way. Smart transportation mobility, smart home buildings and infrastructure, and the manufacturing. Then the manufacturing can be improved with such as this one, smart health. As you say, if you plant 4 or 5 sensors on your body, different places, so you will be able to monitor the health by your maybe your family doctor can monitor the health without any intervention at all. So the smart health concept, that means the person himself becomes a network of different sensors. So that's one of the food and water tracking and security. So this is also another concept which is coming up. Your tracking of devices, everything can be done. So what are the challenges in IoT? See, providing trust and quality of information, shared information models, providing secure exchange of data between IoT devices and consumers of their information. So security issues are going to be a major problem in the case of IoT devices, because how do you exchange the data securely over a network? So security, like any other your data transmission, the security issues are going to have a very important problem in the case of IoT also. And protection mechanism for vulnerable devices. So how do you have certain protection mechanisms, like you have got your cash transaction or protection mechanism. Similarly, in IoT also you have appropriate security mechanism, then you have to deploy it commercially. Then only it becomes commercially secure, otherwise you will not be able to use it. The data which is not intended for a particular person need not be accessible by another person. So that particular security concept also has to be employed in IoT. When some of the projects when we do, so you can observe these parameters, like internet, you have got a facility to all internet packets flowing across. If you program your device, you will be able to monitor all the internet packets in the flowing across the channel in a very easy way. You got Ethernet chip, you change one bit, you will be able to at the physical layer, what the data link layer, what is the data flowing across, can be very easily monitored. So such precautions are to be taken when you want to share the data across the network. So what are the secure mechanisms based on the data also has to be done. So what we have seen now is basically what is meant for IoT. So how it has come from the evolution from the embedded systems, how it has come, how the sensors are to be interconnected. So what are the technical challenges? Because very compact devices are to be made, and very compact software also has to come, and software has to sit in that low footprint area, and the connectivity solutions are to improve, because digital connectivity solutions are to be quite, the digital pipe has to be very wide, then only you will be able to communicate, all the devices can communicate across each other. So that is another concern. Then the unified interface is the one of the advantage. Then the challenges, the other challenges are, the security is one of the challenges, and the commercial application, some of the commercial applications which you have seen, the transport application which you have seen, then the smart environment application. These are some of the challenges, applications which you have seen, which can easily commercially make it viable. Then only, see, any system applications which are also commercially viable. So these are some of the initial areas where people can think of deploying the IoT things, like a transport monitoring, how we will be able to effectively monitor a transport chain or device monitoring in a manufacturing company. So such applications can be initially thought of such a pilot project for deploying the IoT. Then the technologies, the manufacturing technologies are to improve such that very compact devices are to be there, very less power hungry devices are there. Then only these devices become can be energy was viable or cost was viable. So this is what I wanted to discuss basically regarding the IoT. So in general, what are the technologies which are involved in IoT, what are the commercial applications of the IoT, and the technology, the connectivity, what are the issues. Outselling is the task. And as you know, I am from DRDO organization, so NSTL, Naval Science and Technological Laboratory. So we basically work on underwater research, underwater weapons, underwater sensors, and also ship design. These are some of the core areas of NSTL. So have you visited NSTL? Yes. And every